Hello, this is a review of the TP-Link wireless dual-band gigabit router model TL-WDR4300. So it comes in a box that you see pictured here, and out of the box, of course, is the router and the parts that it comes with as well. The router itself is what you see here. It has a glossy, shiny black exterior. Just has minimum logos on the front. This is the side that you can mount, so it can be mounted in two directions, basically based on the hooks. It can hang this way or it can hang this way. And the big thing, of course, is the ports on the back, and once you attach the antennas, which we'll see in a minute. But we have our 3 antenna slots there, there, and there. Then you have your power on, off. Here's your wireless on-off switch, so you can actually set it to turn off wireless and then use only the gigabit if you want at that time. Here's your USB 2.0 ports and LED lights to let you know when they're active. The blue part is what you connect to your existing internet connection or your existing DSL or cable modem. And then here's your gigabit ports for local wired connections. Now it comes with 3 fairly hefty antennas. Like, these are fairly large in size to give you a comparison here compared to the mini CD. They're good weight to them, and then what you do is just screw them onto the back like so. So I have them on, and they can swivel around pretty easily. You can pretty much get any degree of freedom, and they stick in 3 main points. So 1, click, click. And of course, you just have your AC adapter to plug it in, and they give you a little patch cable. Then it comes with a mini CD and instructions that we'll get to in a minute. So first of all, it comes with a sticker over the back LAN ports on the back. It tells you install the CD first. Now, if you don't actually have a CD drive on your machine, they actually give you auxiliary instructions to follow. So jump to Appendix 2, configuring the router via the web management page built onto the router itself if you don't have a CD drive. So skip to this section if you just want to type in a URL and do the configuration directly on there. Otherwise, they strongly tell you to run the CD before you connect it to your computer first, and then use the setup software provided on that. Otherwise, they actually give you a detailed quick start guide to follow as well. So you'll want to check that out. It's pretty simple and straightforward to follow. And it gives you some good things, like if you're trying to connect a USB printer as well. Now, the whole router is fairly large. I'll use this pencil here as a comparison so you can kind of get the idea of how large it is. It's notably larger than my 2 existing routers that I have, but it's fairly light. It's not feather light, but it's definitely not heavy. It feels lighter than the size that it looks like it would be. Now here it is set up next to my 2 existing wireless routers that I have here. So first of all is my Westell wireless DSL modem. Has been anemic in wireless performance, even on the same floor in the near rooms, and terrible in an upstairs. But then I got the Buffalo wireless router that I have here, the AirStation, that I've been very happy with. This thing solved all of my upstairs problems for the most part. I still get a few buffering issues when I hide the device inside of a wooden cabinet or something like that. But I've been really happy with that. It was loads better than my Westell. And now we can see this guy here. Now notice, by the way, all the LED lights are notably brighter than the LED lights on things like the Buffalo or the Westell that I have here. Here's the bottom line. I'll show you a bunch of speed test.NOT comparisons for under different configurations. My old router, my new router, and this in different circumstances, the 2.4 and the 5.0 and so on. But here's what you really need to know. It's a decent router. Remember, it gives you 2 networks, the 2.4 gigahertz network and the 5 gigahertz network. And not all clients are on the 5 gigahertz network. So you might have some, like my Xbox, that connects only to the 2.4. And here's what I got. My existing Buffalo router actually had a better range. It's an N300 Buffalo router, and it did better on my Xbox. But in a realistic case where you don't have something hidden in a wooden cabinet, you're just running a laptop around the house, this was pretty much comparable to my existing Buffalo router that was an N300 router. Except with this, I get a 5 gigahertz band as well. So you get more networks off of this. I think this is a decent router all around, but I'm sticking with my Buffalo router just because it does a better job with my Xbox in the upstairs bedroom with the door closed, hidden in a glass cabinet and wooden cabinet. So in that case, my Xbox does less buffering, but it still has a few problems anyways. But this seemed to buffer more. So I'm happy with it as a decent router, but I think there are better routers out there. And remember, some of the times, come on, if you stick an Xbox in a closed wooden cabinet in a room with the door closed, with the closed glass door on the front, you're going to have problems. But otherwise, if you run around with phones or handheld devices, tablets, and so on, in the open air, I think this is a decent router for you as well. So first, run their CD. Go ahead and run the auto run, and then just pick your router that comes up. This one is the WDR4300. You can probably pick the easy setup assistant, but if you're only setting up the USB printer, you could run that now or access the guide. Then just pick your language and follow the simple setup to install, configure, and confirm settings for your new router. Now, I get a failure saying that the network status check has failed, but all of the status lights indicate that everything is good. And if you even come down here, we'll see that it even says that the internet access works, and I can even use the internet right now. So all I'm going to do is follow the alternate instructions they have to do when you don't have a CD, which is basically flip over, go to tplogin.net, type in admin as your initial username and password, and set it up from there. Use the quick setup link from here. By the way, they tell you to use the auto detect option, but it doesn't seem to be working for me. It keeps thinking I need a static IP and then suggests it's a bunch of zeros and for me to enter them. So I know that I need a dynamic IP. This is the most common setup. I just plug it into the back of my DSL modem and it just works. After quick setup is complete, it finishes rebooting the router, but it never actually asks you to change your username and password. So you're going to definitely want to do that now. Remember, everybody knows the default username and passwords, admin and admin, so definitely change yours. To change the admin logon password, go to System Tools and then Expands and pick Password here, and definitely write this down because it'll no longer be admin. Remember, you have two networks running concurrently at the same time. You have the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5.0 gigahertz, which you configure separately, so you choose which devices will connect to which network. They each have different SSIDs. And now I'm in an upstairs bedroom with the door closed. We notice that the 2.4 gigahertz network on the top from the same router is getting about 4 bars, sometimes up to 5 bars. But the 5 gigahertz network from an upstairs bedroom with the door closed, I'm only getting 3 bars. I do get variable range. So again, in the upstairs bedroom, now the 5.0 gigahertz network is showing full bars and sometimes goes down to 4 bars, and the 2.4 is holding steady at 4. And my only challenge on my older router is getting at the antennas inside my Xbox inside this cabinet in an upstairs bedroom. I get buffering every about 30 seconds in there, and I do better when I leave the door open. Let's see if this router does better. So here we see the strength in the Xbox setup menus. So the one on the left is my existing Buffalo router, and the one on the right is this new TP-Link router. So I'm getting 4 bars with my existing Buffalo router, in the same case as I'm getting 3 bars with this new router. The good news is it actually works right away. On my other Buffalo router, I had to go enable port forwarding. This one just worked. I still get frequent buffering that this keeps popping up. This is what I still get with my existing Buffalo router, but I might be getting it more with this router. Again, in an unfair circumstance where it's actually in a cabinet here. I'll get better results if I go ahead and leave the door open. So for a simple comparison, my existing router that I have up there with the hardwired connection on speedtest.net as a simple comparison, on my 3 megabit DSL, I'm getting 2.89 megabits down and 0.7 megabits up. And on wireless, in the same room as the router, I'm up here on speedtest.net getting a different ping, but 2.94 megabits down and 0.71 megabits up. Once more, in an upstairs bedroom with the door closed, I get a higher ping, I get a great download speed, 3.07, and 0.7 megabits up on my older router. This time connected hardwired to the actual router through the gigabit connections on the back. I'm seeing pretty much the same numbers as I had before. A good ping with the hardwired connection, 26 milliseconds, 2.91 megabits download, 0.72 megabits upload, and wirelessly within the same room off the 2.4 gigahertz band on the wireless mode and the speedtest.net, I'm getting 103 milliseconds ping, 2.88 megabits down, and 0.72 megabits up. Second, on the 5 gigahertz network this time off the second SSID, I'm getting a faster performance. I'm getting half the ping, 52 milliseconds, and a comparable download and upload speeds of 2.9 megabits down with 0.73 megabits up. So in the upstairs bedroom on the 2.4 gigahertz network, I'm getting a 46 millisecond ping, 2.91 megabits down, and 0.73 megabits up, which is pretty good for the upstairs bedroom. The 5 gigahertz network from the upstairs bedroom is giving me a 53 milliseconds ping, 2.96 megabits down, and 0.72 megabits up, so fairly comparable on the 5 gigahertz. Thanks for watching the review.